if you were just to even guess, what is Blizzard looking for here? If they were to cut NRG, a team that's already been part of the Overwatch ecosystem for so long, and through Andy's own words, he was saying that Shock actually had the biggest brand in North America, or one of the biggest brands in Overwatch League, as well as being maybe one of the winningest teams.
Look, again, I know only based on the material that we received, what they were looking for from the partner side. I'm I'm surprised that they didn't get in, but I think the competition is stiff. There's only three spots, and that appears to be the case. And again, I haven't seen any names confirmed. I've seen the same rumors that you have, but there's quite a strong list of organizations out there that want to dip their toe in, and it's possible that they wanted to basically you know bring in new fans, or maybe kind of go in a different direction. I really don't know. I wouldn't see this as a slight against stock. I would see this really kind of as a compliment to the strength of the applications that came from the other guys. I mean, if they were able to basically get chosen over Shock, that means that they were pretty damn good applications. And so
Yeah.
I would look at it positively rather than negatively. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe to the dismay of Shock fans, but maybe to perhaps in the future when an announcement comes out, people could be maybe positive to see that we have some large new organizations coming on if it all goes well. I'm actually curious about the esports industry in a way as well, because there is some chatter about I think a lot of fans don't quite understand how the esports business structure works, and we're getting a lot of that insight right now from what you're saying, especially coming through from the developer side of what you're looking for on the team side. Now, as we move through Overwatch, one of the biggest things that we saw, there was a lot of chatter about the fact that many teams are losing too much money. Some of that is self-inflicted. We've seen that even in other games like League of Legends and VCT, where teams are spending an inordinate amount of money on stuff like salaries, right? They're ballooning their own costs, spending through a bunch of their own VC money. Is esports at the end of the day something that could be either sustainable or even profitable for teams? Is it already there? Are we already in the position where, I mean, I think even at the end of Overwatch 2, we're starting to see some teams finish in the green, although a lot of the teams that did finish in the green for any of the Overwatch League years seem to have done that maybe through very, very aggressive cuts to their own expenditure. And you also mentioned that reaching somewhat of a seven-figure MTX figure is kind of like the mark of, what you would like to see. So is that
Yeah.
what is required to reach sustainability or profitability for a team?
Yeah. Look, I think so. First of all, I think we're out of esports winter. Okay,
That's
we're
good.
kind of
I'm glad to hear
beyond
that.
that. I think, yeah, I think our revenues are on track to be up 70% this year, 70%. We've we entered VCT EMEA, and we're obviously in LEC with a team that made it to Worlds in Counter Strike 2. Our team made it to the first major. We didn't make it to the second, but we were in the first major, which was helpful. We did well at EWC. Again, I looked at my stats. We were 11th place in EWC. We're a partner organization for EWC. Call of Duty League, as I mentioned, we have a very strong team. We finished third overall last season. We're undefeated this season, and we had the best-selling skins in the world for Call of Duty League in 2020 for the 2024 season. So things are moving in the right direction. I think I think it is from our perspective. Profitability is near. That is, we're planning for profitability. The era of burning through VC money is, I think, over for probably every team, I would hope. Um, and what we have decided for our business is to focus on those core games that I mentioned that have the greatest MTX potential, with some of the best partnership agreements with the publishers that are heavily invested in the ecosystem, and those are the four games that I mentioned earlier. And then to look at everything else kind of opportunistically, um, to see what the cost benefit analysis is. Um, but running esports teams, I think it's easier to be profitable in an esport, like one. It is harder to be profitable if you are like us. We're one of the very few global organizations. We have teams in Europe and North America. We've got fan base and strong fan base in Latin America. We're on 3 continents. We've got between us and our influencers over 100 million followers now. So that's a lot of people. And so it is expensive. Those fixed costs that you have of running teams, putting everybody together, putting them in apartments, all of that stuff costs money. And that's your kind of fixed cost level. And what you need to do is drive the revenue, um, ideally from sponsorships in particular, to the point where you can cover the costs of your teams. And if you can do that, you can really drive a lot of profitability through the MTX, right? If you can cover your costs through sponsorship, you can basically leave the MTX as your profitability. And I don't think any team is there yet, but that is, I think, a clear path forward for esports teams. That's the way that we're organizing our business right now, to structure it so that the cost of the team is tied to the sponsorships that are willing to fund it. Okay, and then our marketing and all the other stuff is geared towards driving those MTX revenues. Every game that we have a co-streamer. We do a lot of marketing and a lot of promotion. We hold a lot of live events. As you know, we're doing the major in Madrid. We're doing the Call of Duty World Championship in Toronto in 25. That's already been announced. There's a number of other things that have been announced. We just had KoiCon also in Spain a few months ago. We do a lot of that to drive the engagement. We want the audience to be fans of our teams, and then we partner with sponsors to provide access to those fans, and then those fans go out and buy our MTX and help to generate a return. I think we're very, very close to being there. Now, biggest challenge is team salaries and costs, and those have been coming down, I think, a little bit over the last few years. um, I hope that we can maintain a lid on those costs, which have been significant. Some games are having a better adjustment than others. um, but the problem with sports, as Kevin, is that you know the guy with the guy willing to spend the biggest amount, helps to drive the salaries for everybody else, right? So you could have like everybody being disciplined and watching their costs, and then a couple of teams get fresh money or new,
Mhm.
their passes be to win a world championship, and then they go out and spend a whole bunch of money, and then of course the agents all get excited, and then that drives the costs up for everybody. And so we are trying to be disciplined on that front, and focused. And I think most teams are, but that's always a struggle in sports, is that the big spender sets the salaries for the entire industry.
If you enjoyed that clip, the full episode is linked below. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a new episode.